Warning.
What's the word, people? You already know what it is. If I'm here, it's your boy Big Will. Life After Prison TV. Let's get right into this one. So about a year ago, I made a video on this. You got these 6 cops from Mississippi. They call themselves the Goon Squad, right? And they're a real racial clan. I guess they were going around and terrorizing the black men and women of their county. Well, I ended up torturing these 2 black men. They broke into their house. They used the bullshit story that one of their white neighbors called and said there was some suspicious activity. So they broke into the house. They tortured these 2 men. They essayed them. Poured milk on their face. Michael ended up getting shot in the mouth with a gun, with a bullet. Broke his jaw. Exit out of his neck. Cut his tongue in half. Now he can't speak right. They're going to endure the embarrassment, the memories. And 2 of them finally get sentenced. Now, before we go any further, I believe it all lies with the sheriff. And I believe the sheriff is the one to be held accountable. Don't get me wrong, these 6 men, naturally they're going to be held accountable, right? But it's got to go with the sheriff. The sheriff is the one who allowed it. The sheriff is the one who covered things up for these men. There's one mother that's speaking out that her son was killed in 2021 due to this clan. Racism. Still today in our country, racism. Now, don't get me wrong, it's always going to be a part of life, right? But to hear that they actually live by that, and if you're a colored folk down in the southern portion of our, I'm going to say the Midwest, South Midwest, they're really still racist down there. They're really white supremacist, Ku Klux Klan type people down there. They still practice that stuff. And it all boils down to the law. When the law is just as corrupt as the people they're letting control that narrative, it's always going to be. But let's listen, man. This is crazy, man. 2 of them go down. One gets 20 years. The other one gets just about 17. Still 4 more to go. I believe besides their federal charges, I believe state charges should follow. And like I said, I do believe the sheriff should be right on the side of them.
A warning to our audience, this next segment contains descriptions and images of police violence. We turn now to Mississippi, where 6 white former police officers who called themselves the Goon Squad have pleaded guilty to raiding a home and torturing 2 black men earlier this year, after first trying to cover up their actions. Some of the officers face life in prison.
And again, these are the 2 that straw that broke the camel's back, let's say. They've been doing this for years. There's 4 other crimes of horrendous torture that they did to black people, with 2 deaths resulting that are being investigated. So I believe more charges will follow in the years to come, the months to come. But let's listen.
On January 24th, court records show the deputies raided a home in Braxton, Mississippi, after a white neighbor of one of the officers called them to complain there were black men staying there. The officer texted the others, quote, "Are y'all available for a mission?" That night, without a warrant, the officers burst into the home, handcuffed, beat, tasered the 2 men, Michael Corey Jenkins and Eddie Terrell Parker.
You heard what she said, right? Without a warrant, they just burst into the home. And again, for them to so blatantly call you up for a mission. They've done it in the past. And they went on these missions. And they had fun. And they probably profited off of stealing from people and whatever else they did.
Parker also sexually abused them with a sex toy with shouting racial slurs. One of the officers put a gun in Jenkins' mouth for a mock execution and pulled the trigger. The bullet lacerated Jenkins' tongue, broke his jaw, exited through his neck. This is U.S. Attorney Darren LaMarca last week announcing federal charges against the former officers for the attack.
But not only...
And credit to this district attorney for being white and going against the modus operandi and taking these men down.
Did they brazenly commit these acts? But after inflicting serious bodily injury by firing a shot through one of the victim's mouths, they left him lying in a pool of blood. Gathered on the porch of the house to discuss how to cover it up. What indifference. What disregard for life.
After the attack, Michael Corey Jenkins was actually charged with a felony based on methamphetamine the officers said they found in the raid. But records show that was a lie, and the charge was dropped. In fact, the deputies planted drugs to devise an excuse for the raid and also stole surveillance video from the house. Their body cameras were off. Court documents said the officers used the name Goon Squad, quote, because of their willingness to use excessive force and not to report it. The Associated Press found the deputies were linked to at least 4 violent attacks on black men since 2019. 2 of the men died. For more, we're joined by Michael Corey Jenkins and Eddie Terrell Parker, as well as Malik Shabazz, a civil rights attorney with Black Lawyers for Justice who's representing them. We welcome you all to Democracy Now! Malik, let's begin with you. Can you talk about how this case was exposed, how we saw these officers charged, and what you understand about their background, this not being the first vicious attack?
Okay, thank you for having us on. I want to say before we get started that Michael and Eddie will only be speaking, that they cannot speak about the specific details of what happened in that house that night, but they can talk about their reactions to the guilty verdicts and to their pain and suffering. And Michael is suffering because half of his face is numb. But because we have sentencing coming up, so we're under certain sensitive legal guidelines. But we're happy to be on with such a progressive audience. This case was brought to light through the determination of Black Lawyers for Justice, of myself as the attorney for Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker, and Mississippi Counsel Trent Walker. From early January, we have advocated strongly and vigorously in every way, and we have worked with community activists in Mississippi and throughout the country in order to bring the truth that is coming to light today, that these defendants, Hunter Elwood, Christian Dedman, Brett McAlpin, Middleton, Osdike, and Joshua Hartfield, that they're called the Rankin County Goon Squad. They're known in the community as the Rankin County Death Squad. This has been occurring for a long time under the leadership of Sheriff Brian Bailey, who should be the subject of criminal investigation also. And they have been getting away with this so long that they felt emboldened to act in such a radical and callous way on that night of January 24th, 2023. Right. But it's through persistence. It's through intense legal advocacy, with us advocating to the U.S. Justice Department, collecting evidence and applying legal pressure and all kinds of pressure, to bring about what is now historic.
What people don't realize, this new day and age with the internet and the way that information is passed and you know, years ago you would have to snail mail, right? Send a letter here or there where it could be intercepted by someone, or it could be, you know, never sent out in the mail and blah blah blah, right? There was always ways to cover it up or drag the situation out where ultimately it would disappear, right? Today's day and age, you can't do that. They send the information, it goes right through the mail, right through the email, right through a letter like this. It's going, they get it. It's so easy to do crime and get caught nowadays.
As Thursday, these 6 defendants pled guilty to 14 federal criminal charges. They'll plead guilty to more state charges Monday. This is the first time, democracy now, this is the first time that a white Mississippi police officer has ever been held criminally responsible for harming a black person. And we know that plenty of police brutality has occurred not only in Rankin County under Brian Bailey, but throughout the state of Mississippi. This is a history-making moment. I'm just so sorry it had to come on the backs of the pain and the suffering, the torture and the shooting and the abuse and waterboarding of Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker, our clients.
I can't bear to go to Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker meeting you in this way for what you went through that horrific January night. But I'm wondering if each of you could respond to the guilty plea of these officers and what it means to you that some of them may be facing life in prison. Michael Jenkins, let's begin with you.
I feel great that we're finally getting justice. You know, after months, you know, at first they didn't even believe us. You know, for a while I didn't think they were gonna even get a slap on the wrist or anything, but I feel great about it.
And I know it's difficult for you to talk with the gun in your mouth. The police shot you through your mouth, lacerating your tongue. It went through to your neck, shredding that area of your neck. I am only glad that you can be with us today. Did you think you were going to survive that night, Michael?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm still going through pain right now. My whole face numb, my mouth hurting right now. As we speak.
And Eddie Parker, if you can talk about your response to this plea deal.
It's a long time coming. It's something I say there's also history too, you know, coming from a long way of going through this situation with the same police officers, and pretty much you steer clear, you know, to stay out the way so you wouldn't end up in this situation. But ending up in this situation wasn't part of me, you know, staying clear. So I'm astounded. I'm real happy that it's finally come to a point where they're getting a feeling of what they dish out to people, you know, day in, day out.
And I really misspoke because it's not a deal. They have pled guilty. The idea that they call themselves, Eddie Parker, that they call themselves the Goon Squad, your thoughts?
That's the Goon Squad. That seems to be a crime organization that I guess they were paid to go out and you know, to stop. But they became that themselves. I believe policing and, you know, the public, you know, go hand in hand. I mean, they're people just like us. You know, they want to be held accountable for, you know, everything they do. They want to get, you know, this, you know, certain, I guess you say, the end of the stick treatment as, being the golden ones, but they're not. They're people just like us. I mean, they go out and they do, the opposite of what they're getting paid to do. I think it's very horrendous how they can call themselves, Goon Squad and, still put on the badge and say they're protecting people.
It goes back to, like I say, certain individuals, they believe when they put that little tin piece of metal on their chest that they can do and act how they want. And they can't. They can't. And I'm glad these individuals are being brought to justice. And two of the cops just received sentencing yesterday. One got 20 years, one got 17. And the other 4 will be sentenced later this week. But let me know what you all think. It's about time these cops get held to be accountable for their actions. And like you said, this is groundbreaking. This is this is history. Cops don't get arrested in Mississippi for treatment to black people. The world's changing. Let me know what you all think. It's your boy Big Will, Life After Prison TV. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.